what I had to do.
Well, I think it's pretty inspiring, David.
Well, I just like to try new things every once in a while. I'm probably like famous for being a jack of all trades, master of none, and I can definitely attest to the last part. But I have a lot of fun just trying things.
Cool. Look forward to seeing it.
You might say this, Chris, you might be asking for announcements later, but I did get a message from Karun earlier today about Wednesday night. The open house for UVic is featuring space exploration this Wednesday. So if anybody wants to watch that, tune in at 7:30.
And maybe I'll get you to repeat that if you would.
Okay.
Later,
Yeah,
in a little while.
Yeah, no problem.
Sounds good.
I can put the particulars in the chat.
That would be good too.
He actually got the announcement out before Astro Cafe today.
Yeah, he was wondering why the attendance is kind of meager, and I said, well, if we get it out earlier, we'll probably get more people.
Oh, he's not getting many people to it?
It's kind of light right now, but I have a feeling it's because the reopening since the restrictions have been lifted. I think a lot of people are doing summer things right now. That's what I suspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was looking back to last year. So I would say our numbers were a bit stronger last year than they have been this year, this summer. Although last week was an exception, of course. We had a big turnout last week, but we'll see how we carry on.
Are we recording the number of people each week?
Yes, we are.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks like our attendance has been lower the last few weeks than it was, when things were colder and more locked down.
Yeah, people are away. They're traveling a little bit, and I think we kind of expect lower attendance.
And thanks, Joe.
And the other thing, Joe, maybe you can just maybe pop in is there's another virtual star party this Saturday as well.
I don't think I got the bulletin for that.
Lauri's supposed to be joining us tonight to mention.
Yeah,
that as well.
Lauri will tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. I'll see if I've got something we can pop in the chat too.
I'm just looking at this announcement about the UVic thing, and the Zoom link is the same one we used last term, which is
It is the same one.
which is like saying go look for it and good luck.
Wow.
Observatory at uvic.ca if you don't remember it.
I don't.
Right. Yeah, it's in the announcement there that I just posted.
Yeah, I'll mention that to Karan as well. Maybe it's
last paragraph. Yeah.
Maybe it's accessibility. People don't know how to get to it.
So we're up to 20 participants tonight. So we'll just wait a few more moments to see who's going to show. Oh, spoke too soon, 19.
Scared somebody off.
I think we lost Malcolm from the DQ.
Oh, I couldn't figure out where he was.
I think that's the DQ.
Probably on his way home now.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh, is that where he's working now?
No, I think he was having dinner.
Oh, okay.
Or at least an ice cream anyway.
Yeah.
I can't blame him.
I've been resisting having ice cream, but
So I'll just give it a moment more. Just while we're getting going too, I have Randy had asked to say some things. I believe Chris has an update for us. Lauri had asked to say some things, and now David is going to remind us about UVic. And does anybody else have anything for this evening? So maybe, might be a shorter night tonight. We'll see.
Lauri's trying to say something. Nope, Lauri's not trying to say something.
He's good. She looks very official with her headset on there.
Moon and Venus and Mars shot taken a week and a day ago that I didn't think was worth showing, but people showed some last week that.
Oh yeah, we should look at them.
Yeah, please stand by with that. That would be great.
Yeah, actually, we can maybe even talk about the visibility of the planets. I mean, they're kind of optimal now. Well, we'll talk about that when we get there.
And John, you had a recent photograph, so maybe we can have a look at that too.
Maybe talk about the sun. Yeah, John was showing pictures of the sun. We can talk about that too.
And Chris, I've just sent you a photograph of NLCs from Edmonton from a couple of weeks back.
Okay. Let's have a look.
That'll probably be the last one of the year.
Yeah, I guess it's getting a bit late in the season for those, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have
And they had so much smoke there.
Yes. Oh, that's a nice shot. Yeah. Yeah. Well, enjoy seeing that. So let's see if I can get that in a usable format. Great. Okay. So I don't see anybody else arriving, so maybe we should get started. So I guess, Randy, you'll be up first.
Excellent. So I'm going to talk about transits of the moon that people photograph with the space station. And I just find them wonderful. It's one of those things that takes lots of planning, and then you get this beautiful, clever result out of it. So for those who follow Enkin's Daily Moon, and I highly recommend it, it's something that will give you a different way of looking at the moon than you often will get. So it's just a matter of signing up, and on the Facebook every morning. Actually, it's on Instagram too. You see a picture of the moon. And so these are a few that I'm going to be showing, taken from all over the world and showing all sorts of different aspects of the moon, but with the space station at the same time. It's kind of cool. You can see that this one is an old one because it only has one set of solar panels. These are more recent. Anyway, this one is really cool because we have the moon and we have a bunch of pictures of the space station going across. Oh, it would probably be going this way, of course. And there's Mars. How about that? Right there. And then a person that just does the most amazing, what do you call them? Ephemeral events with the sky is Thierry Legault in France. So here are a few of his pictures. I just love how this one goes right up the middle of the moon. And here he's got with incredible precision. You're looking at things that are, resolution of a meter of something that's flying, what is it, about 400 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. with the moon in the background. And so this is the other sort of thing that he likes to do. So he thinks this is the first time that the lunar eclipse was photographed with a transect of the space station. And here's a picture of a solar eclipse with the space station. And I mean, it's a great picture of the sun too. Look at all of the structure on the surface as well as these amazing flares. He really, in many ways, is the best at this sort of game. And yeah, so this is the ISS transit 1 hour before the occultation of Venus by the moon. And this one is worth looking at the YouTube of it. It's just a 24-second YouTube. Boop, there it went. Now in slow motion. Boop, 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 boop. How about that? So he's not scared to travel around. He looks for these events. And so this one was in Italy. So he used, that went by really fast, but he uses, sorry, it's called CalSky. So I started looking for CalSky. And when you Google CalSky, you know, web-based astronomical calculator used by astronomers to plan observing, created by Arnold Barmettler. But then, wow. Is that,
Oh.
You know what, that's my machine. I got to stop that.
Yeah, I think your that next video is playing on YouTube, I think.
Yeah. How do I get rid of that? This is embarrassing. Hold on. Shut up. Gone. Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
So I guess there must be other methods, Randy. That's the one that I've always heard people use.
Okay.
But if it's no longer available, there has to be other ways.
So we're going to get the, sorry, I have to
You have to get back to your PowerPoint, I guess.
get back to my PowerPoint. I can do it. Watch. Here we go. Anyway, so yeah, it shut down last year. The operation of the website calsky.com is unfortunately no longer financially viable and will therefore be shut down in a few days. And there's all this stuff in cloudy nights where people are so sad. Anyway, I saw a YouTube, somebody from Australia who went through how he does it, and he uses this thing, transit-finder.com. And so you put in your location, and it will only calculate for a month ahead of time, and it will only look up to 240 kilometers from where you are. You then click calculate, and it'll say where all of the nearby transects are, and if it's in red, then that means it's a really good one. And it tells you things like it's the ISS will be illuminated in this particular one, and you know, so it's calculates that, and then you can look at it on the map. So this particular one is the 17th, so a couple of days ago, through Mid-Island. So it's very good. And then you can also look at all of the, so you can have either solar, lunar, or both. This is just the lunar ones. So these are all the ones coming during the coming month. So nothing coming right through Victoria. But then I got interested. Why are they different thicknesses? Is anybody going to think of what the cause of that is? It's the altitude. Okay, if the closer you are to the zenith,
Bigger it is, or
the larger it's going to be.
Yeah.
So these are solar. This is a guy named Tom Glenn, and I watched a YouTube. He did a YouTube with what's it called? TIAC, the something astrophotography channel. Anyway, it's a very good series of YouTubes about astrophotography. And this guy, Tom Glenn, was showing how when it's down low elevation, the space station is a lot smaller and it gets to be bigger as it gets higher. So those are the pictures of the space station at these different elevations. But this is what I'm going to close off with, is some talk about this amazing picture of the space station and Mars. Now that is getting tricky. And so he gave this talk again. It's a long talk. It's like an hour and a half, and I didn't watch the whole thing. But he brought up the question, why image International Space Station transits? And what first reason is fun, but with an asterisk. Avoid transiting imaging if you prefer a relaxed imaging session. I just love that. Anyway, it's challenging and it's an opportunity to capture something unique. And when you get it, it goes all over the internet. There's no question. This guy, he's pretty new to astrophotography, but he's really got into these transits, and this was one close to his place in San Diego. But the problem is, like, even for working out the shadow of a solar eclipse, so that's kind of really important. People travel over the world for those, and so they use the elevation of the Earth, and they use the the predicted limb of the moon to work out exactly where that shadow is going to be, and they're still only good to about 100 meters. And in order to do this this picture, he went to, he used the best orbits that he could find, but it's still he knew that there was a good chance he was going to miss it, just because they're not known to better than 100 meters, and he had to be accurate to better than that. Oh, that was my last picture. Anyway, so that's the let me get out of the share.
So Randy, do you know if these people are actually tracking the ISS, or are they just letting it pass through their field?
So yeah, the YouTubes I see, it's different if it's illuminated or not. Okay, so if you're going to see a transit of the moon when it's in Earth's shadow, then you just got to hope that the timing is right. But much easier if it's illuminated, then you get those, whatever it is, 90 seconds of lead time, but it's between half a second and one and a half seconds to cross the moon. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want sort of the best chance, you could actually enter the ephemeris in for the ISS, and actually it would track against it.
They're the 9 orbital numbers that you put in, and that, it changes because they use thrusters and things every once in a while. So that's why they won't predict more than a month ahead. And the further out you go, the less accurate it's going to be. So if you are going to do this, you really should get it, the day before. You should get what is the current orbit.
David, all of those images are done where they're tracking the moon or the sun only, and then just timing it and
to let it pass
putting on
over
a video to get fast images as it goes by.
Oh yeah, you don't slew.
You could track it with
the
our device up at the hill would actually track the ISS if you wanted. Then you see the sun go by, or the moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be hard to latch onto it. That's the hard part, and then lock into it.
And there's no point. There's no point. You know,
I'm kind of amazed that the relative brightness would allow you to take a simultaneous image of the ISS and Mars. That just seems odd to me.
that's a point that he made. There's the processing with Mars, they were close enough in brightness that he didn't have to do the Mars separately. But a thing that he did stack the Mars pictures. So each image of the space station was just one frame, and he gives the numbers, but you know, it's something like a 200th of a second, something like 50 times a second. Okay, that's that. I don't remember the numbers exactly. I know he said that there was 1 arc second of motion during each image. But
Yeah, just for people who are new to this, you have to shoot video in order to capture this. This is not individual frames. This is video frames.
yeah. What camera, like, do you do it with a
Well, any of the planetary style cameras would work because
Yeah,
they have
you
rapid film rates.
You need 60 frames per second or faster. Because as you say, the whole event is about 1 second long.
Randy, did they mention what?
This book by Terry Legault describes the process very completely.
Oh, I think I have
It
to
was
borrow
written
that.
some time ago, and it's a very detailed description of how to do it.
It's kind of like the Bible of astrophotography, actually. It's very,
It's
very
certainly
good.
one of them. Yeah.
Okay, Reg had a question.
Randy, do you know what the magnification these people were using when they're photographing?
Well, when you're doing the moon, get the whole moon in my 4/3, micro 4/3. I have equivalent of 1,000 millimeters, and that's gives about 0.6 minutes of arc. I think for these transits, people are doing less magnification than that, because you see it go past quite a bit more. So, I would imagine that you're doing about 100 times, not 200 times. At 200 times, then you wouldn't see the whole disk. Unless somebody can correct me on that. And a lot of people are doing it just with cameras, with telephotos. They're not doing it with a telescope.
In case anybody wants the book, it's $40 for the Kindle version, and it's $72 for the paperback. So Amazon still has 2 copies left.
I don't think a Kindle version would do it justice, eh?
Oh, sure.
I have the Kindle. I have the Kindle.
I always get the Kindle version. It's always a lot cheaper.
Has no photographs.
Yeah, Kindle version on an iPad Pro. It's suitable.
Yeah.
Very good. Any more questions, comments? Those are some great photos.
And
Okay,
join up with Enkin's Daily Moon. You get to see these things.
yes. Hey, Chris Gainor.
Okay, just a second here. So I was just asked to give a little update on the Hubble situation. And just a second. So the news is basically good. Hubble is back at work, and So, and it's taking data again. I would actually, and I don't know what you're seeing and not seeing.
We're seeing a schematic right now, Chris,
Okay.
Like that
of the
slide
computer.
2,
Yeah, just a
slide
second.
2 of 5.
So anyway, this is a slide I showed the other day, and lower down you can see this is the area where they're having this, and inside the main computer is over here, the DF224. Although this is an early schematic, so it's actually been supplanted with the blazing speed of a 486, and
With extra memory, Chris.
that's right. I'll tell you. And then we have this thing here, control unit, science data formatter, and they have two of these things. And on top of everything else, they were actually replaced in the last servicing mission. So they should be a little, they are now 11 or 12 years old, and they're still going. So it looks, it's all very complicated, but it looks in this control unit there's what they call a payload computer, which I think is a smaller computer, which I suspect is kind of slaved to the main one, and it is used for the science as more of an interface for the data going to and from the science instrument.
So this is post capture, probably, right? This is after acquisition. It goes through this module.
Yeah, and so something I think a little bit downstream from that failed, and I think they're dressing up the fix a little bit. But anyway, there are two of those units there, so they have redundancy. They try and build it so that there's as little, there's always a way around something, and you don't want a single point failure, as they say. And so there was a lot of toing and froing, but the big announcement with all the trumpets going is that it's been moved to the backup unit. And I suspect what's going to be going on is that there's going to be a lot of work being done trying to figure out exactly what happened with the main unit, because if this backup thing fails, it's going to be a bad day. But anyway, NASA, and I showed this last time, but just a bit of a refresher on the types of computers we're dealing with. Maybe our Joe and
Well, for me, Chris, definitely nostalgic.
Yeah,
me too.
You'd be running away screaming, Joe or David.
In fact, OpenVMS was a modern operating system compared to what I worked with before.
I spent a lot of time on VMS systems. Actually.
Yeah, so did I.
So this is the announcement that was put up, and I'm hoping in a few days, some of the more seasoned and knowledgeable people will start posting things. But anyway, for the time being, Hubble is back at work using a backup unit, which they usually don't like to use, and we'll see if one day we'll get a note saying that they tried and failed to figure out what was wrong with the first one, or that they figured it out and they've got full redundancy restored. And then earlier today, I got the full blast from the Space Telescope Institute about how Hubble is back at work, and So there's, it's been out of operation for about 5 weeks. So a lot of the observations are going to have to be rearranged and done at different times. But the thing is that it's back at work. It's very important in the eyes of the people who are running it that it be back at work, because they want at least a couple of years of overlap between Hubble and the James Webb Space Telescope, which is supposed to go up late this year. I think they were talking about Halloween this year, and now they're starting to move off that date a little bit because of a couple of little issues with that. But they do want a couple of years of overlap where they're probably using them in tandem to look at the same targets. And the other important thing about Hubble is that it's the major, well, it's pretty well the only space telescope operating in the ultraviolet right now. So when it goes out of business, it's not going to be a good day for the ultraviolet folks, except for the fact that it's been taking all sorts of observations in the ultraviolet, which are in the archive, so they can go diving into the archive and look at that. So,
Chris, you just brought up a point. How much backlog data is there from Hubble that has never been reviewed or actually used?
I don't know what the quantity is, but all I can say is that there's been quite a bit, because they've actually been deliberately obtaining data just for future reference. They call these things treasury programs, I think they call them. And there's one specifically aimed at getting ultraviolet observations. But I don't know the exact numbers, how much of what proportion of the observations are that way. Because I know, they still get all these proposals, and the proposals vastly outnumber the time available. So there's.
Yeah, I mean, you often forget, like, so much of analysis is time domain as well, right? So you may not even know what you're going to use it for. So you just keep capturing stuff, right?
That's right.
Well, that brings up a good question. The overlap is only interesting for things that are changing over that time scale. Otherwise, they can use the archive photos for calibrating the web. What do you think the idea of the overlap is?
Well, I think some of it is that that Webb is going to make certain observations that will go deeper into the past. This is the whole idea of Webb. It's operating in the infrared, and it can go deeper into the past than Hubble can. Although Hubble has done quite a hell of a job in that regard with all the deep fields and things like that. But I suspect, they'll be making observations and observing certain phenomena with Webb. And then they're going to be looking at what Hubble comes up with and see if there's something there that might relate to what Webb is seeing. And then they can extrapolate that to past observations made by Hubble. I think that's the idea. You know what I'm getting at?
Well, yeah, but again, mostly things are happening over a timescale of millions of years, not over 2 years.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Millions to billions. But I guess you got all the proper motions and things that will affect.
Don't want to miss those supernovas, though.
No.
Great. So that looks like good news. So hopefully all is well for now. Thanks, Chris.
Yes, but and of course there's other things that can conk out, like the never-present worry is the gyros. But so this is another thing being added to the list. So I don't
Do
know,
they-
maybe somewhere
Do
somebody.
they have a full complement of gyros right now? I thought they were down on 1 or 2.
They're down on 3 out of 6.
Mhm.
And they wear out, right? They're
They
mechanical.
wear out, and the ones that are still going though are actually a little better than the ones they've had in the past. So that's, you know, like we're now 12 years out from the last servicing mission. And if we were 12 years out from any other servicing mission, Hubble would be dead by now.
Mm.
And so they really did a hell of a job. And part of that was the gyros. It's kind of funny. The gyros come in packs of 2. So you have 3 packs of 2. And they were going to replace all 3 packs, all 6 gyros with these types of gyros. And one of them, they couldn't fit in. They couldn't fit it in because somebody decided to pack in too much information, too much insulation. So they actually did put in new gyros, but they were the old type. So needless to say, that's why 2 of them are gone. And I don't know what happened to the 3rd one. But anyway, we've got 3 more. And I think they've got it. They actually, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your viewpoint, had some practice operating with only 1 gyro. Before this last servicing mission, they were down to 1 gyro, and they figured out how to do it. But it's probably you probably have less scope for use when you're down to 1 gyro.
Mm.
Chris, do you have any idea what the gyro design is like on the James Webb Telescope?
No.
Is that kind of stuff readily available though, Chris? I mean,
Oh yeah. The James Webb is kind of a different thing because Hubble is in low Earth orbit, so it's constantly moving around. And the James Webb is going to be sitting out in a Lagrangian point, a million miles away, literally.
Mhm.
So,
but by definition, it's held there on its own, right?
yeah. So it's just
Well, that's
it's
the point.
it's kind of a different situation.
It's in a Lissajous type orbit at the. It's going into a particular type of circulation at the Lagrangian point. But I was thinking when they had the problem with the Kepler telescope, they brilliantly, in my mind, used solar wind as one of the axes to balance the Kepler telescope when they moved into the Kepler-2 mode, and that they got several more years out of it from that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great. Okay. Thank you again. Lauri, are you there and ready to unmute?
There we go. Hi, everybody. I've got a couple of things just to relay to people. The first one is that this coming Saturday night is another star party for the FDAO. We're still virtual. We still haven't opened yet. We're still waiting to see whether or not we will ever open again up at the center. We will, but just not right now, but we're still virtual. And so this coming Saturday night, it'll be from 8 to 11. Dan Posey, our very own Dan Posey, is going to be doing his historical ruminations on the Plaskett. He often would do part of some of that up at the Hill when he's giving his tours to the public, but he's going to do a little bit more specific history, mostly in the earlier times. between kind of 1913, kind of when it started in 1914, and then into the 1940s. He's going to be focusing on. So if you're a history buff, please come along. Dan does a good job on giving presentations. We have Scott Wilkinson from UVic, who is going to be our narrator for EAA, and he's also going to be our a person who's going to be doing Ask an Astronomer with Dennis Crabtree from the HAA is going to be our other guest, Ask an Astronomer, and Dennis, of course, is the resident historian as well up at the HAA, doing a huge amount of work right now on getting things digitized and getting all the archives going. So between Dan and Dennis, if you have any questions or anything at all about the history of the DAO, this is the time to come. We have Don Moffat is going to be doing What's Up in the Sky. And then Sid, if everything works, Sid and David are going to try the solar telescope streaming again. And that will be probably just before 8. Usually we start at 8, but if the solar telescope is working, we probably will start about 7:30. Is that right, David? Just to...
Yeah, we could, yeah. And
we'll see what happens with
yeah,
that.
and there's other things that we will do near the end as well.
Yes, yeah. Then the EAA will be at the end, and then again, if everything is working out all right, then we'll also reopen the Plaskett again. We did on May the 15th. So this is now kind of 2 months later and a little tiny bit darker kind of toward the end of the evening. And there, so Dan is going to see whether or not he can open and get any decent pictures at the end of the program. So that it's going to be a good program, and we invite everybody to come. We'd love everybody to come into at least part of it. Just kind of you can dip in your toes into a different part of it if you'd like. All the information is on our website. If you are a member of the FDAO, then you get a Zoom link into it. If you are not a member, then you work on YouTube. You take it off of YouTube. It just so the actual Zoom presentation is a specific membership key for us. Anyway, if you have any other questions, just simply email me and I can get you something. So the other thing that I wanted to do was 2 things at the RASC national level. The first one is that Samantha Jewett and Jenna Hines are going to be starting to do an EPO, a robotic telescope workshop that's going to go over, I believe, about 4 to 5 sessions. They're going to be Wednesday nights. And what they're doing is kind of opening up the robotic telescope down in California. And she's going to show people how to figure out what exoplanets to look at, and then actually starting to take data from the exoplanets of the exoplanet transits, and then using that information yourself, like just so you're working at your own data and trying to figure it all out. The workshop costs $50. They don't usually have this, but this is kind of a specialized one, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to go into the program and do something so that I can then work with possible student groups and everything. I can know a little bit more about what's going on. So it's Wednesday night starting in August. So it's, I think, between the 4th of August and the 23rd or something like that. I'm sorry, I could look up the information again. It's on the website though, if you look at.
I just posted the link.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So, and then the other thing that's happening is there's going to be an education and public outreach photography processing workshop on at the end of August. And it's a 2-hour workshop in the middle of the afternoon on, I believe, the 29th, if I have the date correctly. Yes, I think it's a Sunday. And what this is a fellow who is actually a member of the Montreal Center, but lives in England is giving this specialized workshop on how to take the processing data from the Mars, from everything that's coming out of the Mars Perseverance work. He's also done some work before on the Juno mission and how to do the processing of the data from Juno. This one, he's going to be specific on the processing of Mars and from Mars. And he's going to be using two separate programs, one that is free and then one that it costs, you can get like $30 or something like that to download, and it's a higher level processing and gets you a little bit more around in the end. But he's going to go through both of those, and what we're trying to do is to get somebody from each one of the centers across Canada and anybody else who's interested to sign up for the workshop and then be able to take that information and go back to their centers and work with other people that might be interested in doing this. So it's kind of an each one teach one kind of thing that we're doing. So, and this workshop is free, and there is a special place to sign up for that. And I'm hoping that I can possibly.
It's all on the national site, though, isn't it?
It's all on the
Lauri?
national site. Yes, it is. It is. And I thought I had my thing up. I don't at this point. I think if is that working? Can you see that at all? No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does it say EPO workshop training work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
that's good.
Okay. So that's so it's Sunday the 29th from 2 to 4, and the registration is there. So I can put that up in the chat as well. So that's just something, if you're really interested in that, it's something that, again, I mean, I probably will go into this as chairperson of the EPO. I probably need to, but if I can do it, then anybody can do it. So that's put it that way. All right. So that's what I have, are the three different things that I was going to say. So thanks, everybody.
Lauri.
Oh, sorry. I have one more. Ooh, can I do one more little thing? I talked with Gord Bell, and we are going to set up a Diane Bell tribute for a Sunday in August, in the middle of August, and people are going to be invited out to the Aviation Museum, and probably something like about 1 o'clock or 1:30 in the afternoon, and we'll have a little bit of a presentation for his family, and then Gord and a couple of other people will be giving a tour of the Aviation Museum. If anybody would like to stay and take the tour, then that would be really good as well. You don't need to. It's just that if you're interested in going for a tour of the Aviation Museum. So we think it's probably going to be on the 14th of August, and I will connect with people to see whether or not we can get a group of people, because I know that both people from the RASC and the FDAO would like to come. So
The Sunday is the 15th.
Sunday is the 15th. Excuse me. That's right. Yes. So I know some people will be away and our thing, but I'm hoping that we can get a good crowd. There's a room that we'll be using, and we can have a couple of tributes to her, which is great.
This will be in the afternoon?
It'll be in the afternoon. They're only open until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it'll be kind of from 1 to 3 or something like that we'll probably do. Yeah.
Thanks for arranging that, Lauri. I really appreciate that.
I'll give some more information on this. Just happened kind of today, so that we got some more information on it.
Lauri, before you go, I've
Yes.
got a question. I'm a little bit confused about the status of the robotic telescope program. There
Yes.
was an opportunity for people to get a subscription to either, I think it was $100, you would get
Yes.
some data, or
Yep.
$300 if you wanted to be a member of the inner circle or something like that.
Mhm.
And when I last heard, I don't think that has been enacted yet, but now we have our new membership database system. Is that functioning yet?
I think that they put some of that on hold while everything was kind of getting in, but I believe that that is back up and running. You still definitely can get the data, the data from previous years, like they were giving that. I believe for that $100 or something like that, you could get more data than you'd ever want, and then. But it's the inner, as you say, the inner circle things, I think were being kind of revamped a little bit, and that's not quite up to date. But I can get a hold of Jenna and ask for you. Yes.
Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, I will. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Lauri. David.
Yeah, I guess Lauri probably could have continued this, but UVic open house this Wednesday. I think I'm trying to remember who's doing I think it's Jaden actually. He's doing kind of a presentation on space exploration. So for any of you who want to learn more about space exploration, that would be great.
Yeah, the information is in the chat, everything but the actual link that we don't seem to have.
Yeah.
But if you have an old email,
the old one will work. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it may be, we may have some previous items on our website. Perhaps Joe can correct me if I'm wrong there, but about this, and it may have had Zoom links in old ones. So we may have the Zoom link somewhere.
Yeah, they use the same one. So if we can find it somewhere, we can put it in. Yeah.
The info I posted in the chat has the observatory@uvic.ca email address. Just ask them for the URL.
Yes. Yeah.
Lauri, you might want to mention something about the work that's being done on revamping the NOVA program.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
you should mention that.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. How could I forget? Right. Yeah, this is one of the, I don't believe that the Victoria Centre ever used the NOVA program, which is New Observers to Visual Astronomy. And it was made actually about 20 years ago. And then was a program that was put together and used by different centers in different ways in order to do beginning observer programs. And everybody kind of had their own take on it, and it was done in lots of different ways. And so what we have done is decide to get a general formula for putting it all back together again, so that everybody across Canada is kind of using basically the same program. You can still do lots on your own, but and it will be both virtual and something that can be done in person when we can finally get all together again. And David is I know doing quite a few of the units, is involved in quite a few of the units. I'm involved in a couple, and I'm wondering if there's anyone else that's online here that is part of that NOVA program. Did anybody else sign up to be a part of that? Because we sure could use your help. There's lots of different units and modules to do, and the more the merrier, and more people can help. So maybe David, you and I will catch people unawares and ask them to help.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly, yeah. Anyway, we could do that. So that's an ongoing program that's about over 4 months or so. I think we're doing some development and then it will all be put together. And the National is taking a key role in this, which is really good, because again, it was being done by just like centers individually, and it was kind of all over the place for a while. But I think it should be good when it gets all together. So thanks. Yeah.
Lauri, could you give an example of what it is you are creating in the NOVA program?
Yeah. So what they've done is take very specific topics, and for each topic they call them a module, and each of them is about 30 minutes long. And there's like an introduction, and then a little presentation that they've got that you kind of get a PowerPoint presentation or something. You can add in some resources in there, and then there's a little bit of some interactive work. I mean, if you're with a group of people, you can actually do some hands-on work, and then lots of resources kind of at the end. And each module is its own like little kind of specific thing. I'm doing one on constellations, for instance. One of the ones that I'm working on is a set of constellations, and David's working on some choosing a telescope, right? Something like that, David, right? And
Yeah, I
and
think I think it's probably a pretty standard format, Margie. If you remember, those of you who helped me on how to photograph the moon a year or so ago, is a very similar format. There's a bit of kind of audio visual kind of material just to prep you on the stuff. There's a few little kind of on the spot kind of quizzes and stuff, and some activities.
And each one of them is short enough that if you wanted to do like a couple in an evening, then you could do that. Or if you wanted to do it as part of a program, that you'd only do one of them and then kind of continue on. I believe there's a fair number that are being planned, and as we say, it can be done either virtually through a Zoom session with a group, or it can be, I believe you probably could even go through it on your own if you wanted to, like if you want to do that, or as a group in front with actual real live people. I can't believe it, but that's, eventually we'll get back to that.
Yeah, Margie, in one of the prefaces that I read, I wasn't that familiar with the NOVA program, but they said it was really meant to introduce the topic of astronomy and to inspire people to research more. So it's really a matter of getting people kickstarted. I guess it's kind of like a primer. And then you're meant to go off with a list of resources to explore on your own.
Yeah.
I assume this is the same NOVA program that Prince George put together many years ago.
Exactly
yes,
the same.
that was the initial program. Yeah, quite a long time ago. But it has kind of changed and moved and things all over the place depending on what was happening with the different groups. So, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Great. And we have just one photo tonight from Edmonton. So let's see if I can get that up. Hopefully that get there.
So this photo is from my friend Florence Savick in Edmonton. Florin eventually will be here and probably become a member. He actually owns a house in Royal Oak right now that he's renting out. And when he's finished his professorship at the U of A, he'll be moving down here. This was about 3 weeks ago when they had an all sky display of noctilucent clouds. This was taken from very near the U of A in downtown Edmonton. Surprising. The other thing that Flora and I do is on a weekly basis on Saturday mornings, we do a online fly tying thing with a whole bunch of people from all over. So he and I have 2 points of coincidence: astronomy and fly fishing.
First, can you see that picture of the sun with some prominences coming out?
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
So this was taken from my patio. I'm in a really unusual position, and this is a little embarrassing, but I've always been someone that expressed a little bit of disdain of anything in the solar system because it's just too close to be interesting. But now I have enough light pollution that the only things I can really get pictures of are the sun, the moon, and the planets. So that's what I'm doing. Here's another one of some solar prominences, and you can see some nice structure on the sun as well.
So John, were they as apparent visually, like with an eyepiece?
Yes, you could see them, but you don't see them nearly as well, David. At least with my eyes, I don't. I mean, I can see them, but they're kind of, this is through a Lunt scope that has a double stack.
Yeah, I've actually noticed that even with the Club's 40, You can see the loops and things visually,
Yeah.
but they're much better once you image them,
They're,
because then you have the advantage of stacking them and
they're
refining them.
faint by eye, but they're also kind of exciting to see by eye. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, this picture I just want to show because this is the first picture that I've gotten with the Takahashi scope up at the hill. And it was a test because what we did, and let me just go out of this one for a second and show you what we did was we had a camera on the OGS scope. That's the large reflector telescope. And this was Gary Sedun's Nikon camera on the back of that scope. And we used the T-point that Dan had produced in the earlier session to find objects, and it did it quite well. And then we spent a bit of time getting the tracking going, which hadn't been going before. So this is now with tracking on and Gary Sedun's camera taking a picture of M51. It's only a few images, so it's noisy as all get out. But the idea was just to see if it was working.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable
And
just
then-
for a few frames.
And what's interesting about this picture is that when he got that centered in the OGS telescope, it was in the field of view, as this is the whole field of view for the Takahashi, and you can see it's displaced, but it's in the field of view. We never ever had that before with the old system, and we may actually be able to shim it and get it a little closer than this. But the nice thing is that even the way it is, very easy to find subjects in either telescope without having to use, for those of you that did this before with the old telescope, you'll remember offsets that were difficult to use and often didn't function very well. So this is kind of exciting.
That Takahashi is amazing that you got like that detail.
It does a beautiful job. The other thing that I just want to say is that there's a great deal of work going on up at the observatory right now. The tech committee has been refurbished with some additional members, and we're all working together very effectively, I think. And a lot of things are getting done. Dave Payne and Brock are both on the committee now. David Lee has been doing some stuff on the computer. Interestingly, we got these pictures when we couldn't see anything on the screen of the computer of objects. We could not see stars or any object. But in spite of that, the finding and the tracking worked, so we could get things. And then if I let me just yeah, if I just blow that picture up, this is showing just the one edge of the Takahashi view, and you can see that the resolution is really pretty amazing in that.
John, what's the imager?
Faster than the other scope. You get a half decent image, even though we didn't have very much time on it.
John, what is the imager here?
Pardon me?
What is the imager, the camera?
Well, this is my Canon RA. So it's a full frame camera. So the full frame looks like that. And this is a cropped image, but you can see that it gives quite a bit of good resolution.
Right. Very nice.
With the help that everybody's putting into getting the VCO working again, it's already at a stage where it's usable. And a lot of the smaller bits and things that need to get done to make it just work more easily and get it ready for functioning is underway. And there will probably be a teaching session for the mix to get up to speed with how to use it so that we can become operational to bring all the rest of you that want to come up and just have a go at getting an image or looking through it or whatever it is you want to do. That's coming very soon. So just to continue this for a second, I'll show you just one more image. This is an image of the sun. Doesn't look terribly spectacular because there were no prominences to speak of. There's a tiny speck of a one here that if I increase the exposure a lot, I could see it a bit, but it was very uninteresting. But there's a bit of neat stuff on the sun that you can see in different parts of it. And nice surface. Anyway, that's all I have to show.
John, you mentioned that was a mosaic, and I studied that image. I was trying to find the seam that joined
Oh,
it together.
it is a mosaic. Do you want to see it again?
Yeah.
Look carefully, and I think you'll see, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I think you'll see right across here.
There's a bit of blurring there.
There's a bit of blurring and a bit of distinction.
Yeah.
So I did my best to make it so that you couldn't see the line, but it is a mosaic. The camera that I use for planetary work and for solar and lunar stuff, what I want to magnify, is got quite a small chip, which is perfect for planets because it means I can image very quickly. I can take about 120 frames a second, but it means it isn't large enough to get the sun or the moon in one image. I have to take more than one and then put them together. And sometimes that works well and sometimes it's not so easy. So I will stop my share. Unless anybody has any more questions, I'm done.
That's great. So Chris, I thought I would just mention that Jupiter and Saturn are up in the mornings. In fact, you don't even have to get up really early like I was doing. I think they've been out there, probably not at the right altitude, but they've been out there probably right just past midnight or 1 o'clock. So you can definitely have a gander at those. The Mars and Venus, well, Venus I think will start to disappear soon. I think it's going to come into the morning after about a month or so, or maybe even sooner than that. But yeah, if you want to look at planets, try the morning. Actually, has actually anybody seen them in the morning?
Oh, in the morning for sure. But when do we get to see them in the evening so we can show them to our friends?
It looks like next month.
It's coming soon.
Yeah, it is coming. It is coming.
Mid-August.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting up at 3 a.m. to photograph them, but not successfully.
Okay.
Is that because of the position of the planets or our friends, the public health authorities?
Mars has a mask on it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been up for the past couple of mornings at 3:30 or so in the morning, not because I wanted to, just because I woke up and I went out, and it was and they were quite brilliant. Yeah, so quite nice indeed. But
Yeah,
they're just at the limit where I can see them at 3 o'clock. I don't think I'd be able to see them earlier because they'd be too low. So.
Yeah, they're in the southeast, southeast, and I can't remember how high they climb, but it's not as high as you would think or would want, or would want, but they're there.
Well, if anybody who is up early tomorrow and looking for something to do after it brightens up, the second part of the billionaire space race picks up in the morning, and at 6 in the morning apparently is when Jeff Bezos is going to go up, and I know a lot of people who are hoping he doesn't come back down. But anyway,
No, you don't want that to happen. Oh,
Before we go, I've got a question because I was up at 3 in the morning as well, looking at.
we should have had a party.
Yeah,
You know.
Zoom is available to you.
It's all the old people observing in the middle of the night involuntarily.
Yes,
From the
involuntary.
parking lot at
Exactly.
McDonald's.
it was beautiful. My old friend the Pleiades was up, and
Yes, yes.
I was looking at Uranus, and I was just wondering,
Oh.
has anybody been able to visually see the moons of Uranus through a telescope without photographs?
No,
I don't know.
pretty hard.
That would be really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave it a try and I failed, so thank you. I feel better now.
I just have to say something about this business of getting up in the middle of the night. That last picture that I showed you is number 1000 in my collection of astronomy pictures. So
wow.
it's a little bit of a landmark. And of those 1000 pictures, I hate to tell you how many of them came about because I had to get up in the middle of the night.
So it does serve a purpose.
Yeah. If everybody's kind of finished, I have a quick question to moon observers. So is everybody else, I don't know, maybe Chris, you want to ask if there's anything else?
Or you could just go ahead. I think that sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is I can show my new observing powers here. I'm still trying to do the Observe the Moon program. Like Chris is way finished, but I'm still kind of trying to do this. And I usually use my Schmidt-Cassegrain, which I can actually see the moon as it actually is. Like in real telescope, in real time view, I get to see it as it is in the sky. Now that I'm using Diane's Dobsonian, it's all like it's turned around,
left to right,
and inverted and upside down and all of this kind of stuff. And I was trying to use the Dial a Moon program.
There's
I
two
think some of you
versions.
know that.
There are two versions, Lauri.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to. Can I get another version that kind of flips it?
It's called South Up.
South Up.
Look for Dial a Moon South Up or
Okay.
SVS.
Okay, thank you, because
Scientific Visualization Studio.
I was thinking there's got to be something, but I couldn't find it when I was looking at it. And I was getting so frustrated because I was actually turning my page upside down and kind of going like this and trying to see if I could figure out what was going on. And I was getting a tiny bit frustrated, but it was beautiful last night, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody was out, oh my gosh, it was gorgeous last night.
Flavius was up.
So, yeah.
So the one is for people with refractors, it's reflected left right, and that there is not a version. You only have it right side up and south up, but they don't have left.
Okay,
right.
not the okay. Anyway.
And so for using the TAC, for example, it's not
really,
ideal.
Really tough, yeah. Okay, all right. Well, thank you. I will check that out and see.
You put a correct image diagonal in for a refractor, and then it just the same. But Lauri, it's just rotated 180 degrees.
You just turn it upside down.
I know, but my brain doesn't.
and you
it also
things, so you don't when you're trying to track, you pull it into the view.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
So when you're tracking something.
Oh, I'm not tracking anything. There's no tracking here. This is.
I know, but with your hand, you're moving. So you pull the image into the view. So
okay,
and you're always going to be pulling it to the right. You're always going to be moving the scope to the right.
Well,
And then it
that
will just,
depends on which side your focuser's on.
you're still moving the scope to the right because that's the direction
Yeah.
that thing
To the west, yeah.
right ascension. That's the word, right ascension.
Right ascension, yes.
Mo-
Okay.
Moving to the west, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if,
So
you, if your
you pull
focuser
it
is,
into the view.
if your focuser is not oriented at right angles to the RA axis, you're not going to get a complete match with what your chart is. If
Yeah.
straight up
Yeah,
and
actually,
if it's on the other side, then it'll be backwards to you too.
yeah, actually, as I've been learning variable star observing, that is the one thing they tell you is put your orientation correct. Otherwise, your finder charts aren't going to work.
Yeah.
And you know, before, you know, I used to do this in an ad hoc way, but now I'm very conscious of the direction now, and that's probably what you need to learn, right? And then,
It's one of those things that needs practice. I mean, for years I observed with an erect image finder on a 12-inch Newtonian or 10-inch Newtonian, where I had an erect image finder and then an inverted Newtonian. So going from the finder chart to the real view, you have to actually flip the image around in your head. And it takes quite a bit of practice to do that.
just print your charts that way.
Well, I'm not going to print uranometry out that way, I'll tell you.
All right. Well, I'll work on it anyway, and we'll see if we can get something done. But
Yeah, do look up SVS South Up.
okay, thank you. I
And then
will.
That one situation you don't have to worry about, but there's no question you can't get there without doing a whole bunch of the mental gymnastics.
Yeah. And at midnight, mental gymnastics is really tough. So yeah. Yeah.
Try doing it at 20.
And Reg, I put into the chat a link to what it takes to see Triton and Oberon of Uranus. It takes power and seeing. They're tiny.
Okay, so dear friends, without a camera, just looking through the eyepiece, can you see any of the moons of Saturn other than Titan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can see
Yes.
even with a 6-inch scope.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. With an 8-inch, you can see 6 or 8, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It's actually easier. It's easier to see more moons on Saturn than it is on Jupiter, because once you get past the first 4, Jupiter's moons are pretty tiny.
Okay, that's on my list.
There you go.
Okay. So does anybody else have anything for this evening?
Yeah, Chris, before you go, I've been reading, so I have a book suggestion. So let me just.
Okay.
It's called The Last Stargazers, and I've been kind of wondering about history the last couple of weeks in astronomy. So I've been kind of looking for books that actually talk about the history of discovery in the last century. So this is a really interesting book. It's by Emily Levesque. She's a professor down at the University of Washington, and she accounts. She starts talking about North American astronomy and Mount Wilson, and actually Elizabeth Griffin is actually mentioned in this book. That's what I found it astounding. Like I thought, Elizabeth Griffin, I know that name. And then I started thinking about what she was saying, and then, oh, this is the same Elizabeth Griffin. So then I started doing a little bit more digging, but I love this book. It's written from the first person, and she talks about some of her experiences in the observing cage. She talks about, when she talked about Kit Peak, I almost got shivers because when she described it, it's only been a few years since I've been to Kit Peak, so it's still quite fresh in my memory. But the way she describes all the places on the mountain, it's pretty amazing. But she takes you to all sorts of different observatories around the world, and she talks a lot about she talks a fair bit about women in astronomy as well, and some of the things that have happened or didn't happen. But yeah, it's a wonderful little read. I really enjoyed it.
Speaking of women in astronomy, I managed to pick up a biography of Vera Rubin that was for sale at Bolin Books. It was the last one, so I was excited to see that.
Yeah, Jim, I think this would be a book that you would love.
I was wondering, for John, these middle of the night pictures that you get, how many of them are of the constellation Orion?
Is that a play on words?
That's a low blow, Chris.
And it continues.
And just to give Lauri a bit of hope, you can get these from Sky and Telescope, and you can get them regular orientation or flipped. So yeah, there they are.
This one was out of print. It is back in print. That's the I got that one for using with my refractor, and I only got it last week. I wanted it to do the explore the moon.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, why struggle if you don't have to, right?
I'm always
Exactly.
I always have my Ruckle upside down when I'm
Well,
identifying
these charts from Sky and Telescope are based on Ruckle, so
yeah.
And they're nicely laminated, so you can use them outside.
But
Thanks,
I agree.
everybody.
I agree with everything people have said about just getting used to it, because I just recently bought a Bader prism, which is the right way around, and I thought I wanted to use it for looking at the moon and stuff, and it took me a while. I kept on pushing the wrong way because I'm so used to like a regular diagonal.
Yeah.
I would just push the opposite way. So it's
Your
whatever
brain
you get
has to
used
learn again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Lauri, the only other skill that you need if you want to use whatever charts you have is the Leonardo da Vinci wrote things that you could only read in a mirror.
Yeah.
Right.
You have
I
to learn to do that.
beyond even coping with that. There's no way. Yeah.
Okay.
No. You're
That's
right.
how he took notes.
Mhm.
Right.
Very strange guy.
Yes.
Brilliant, but strange.
But yeah.
There's
Aren't
other
they
ways
mostly?
there's other
Yeah.
ways of doing encryption.
I was looking at his Codici in Milan when I was there. It's just mind blowing to look at it because it's all done that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Nope. I won't have any trouble with being a genius at all. I'll just stay right where I am. Yeah, no problem. Thanks everybody for your help though. That's great. I'll do that.
Just post us on your Explore the Moon. I'm still waiting for Chris and Christine to give a seminar on the Explore the Moon.
Yeah, maybe a little later on, and Pedro should join us too.
Pedro,
He's
yes.
done it too.
So you wait a bit, and then Lauri will join you.
Yeah.
I'll just cry. Yeah. Oh. I think there's going to be parts. I think there's going to be like some of the quarter, the Q-4s or the Q+3s or something like that I'll never get. Like it's just like I'm going to actually have to go and actually work at them sometime at 2 o'clock in the morning and do something to get the last little bits. But anyway.
So Joe just posted the link to Sky and the Shop at Sky page where they have those.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So grab that if you want before the end there. And you would want the normal orientation, and then you would use it turned 180 degrees. So for using with that telescope, you want the purple one.
I want purple.
Yeah, well, or whatever, maroony, I guess.
Okay.
And then as was mentioned, this is a 4-part. So you can use it in half or in quarters, or the whole thing. It's big. But it seems to cover, I think it covered just about everything we needed to find. And so I was using the right way
and
around. The wrong way.
Yeah, it's really good because on the back of it, it has a list of all the objects as well, and so it's a good reference. And being laminated paper, it's very easy to use.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the list of objects it has.
Oh, okay. Well,
Quite a
that's
lot
definitely.
there.
I
Isabel
got one
Wilson.
for my SCT, so it was mirror reversed, and that's really nice.
Yeah.
It won't fall apart in the dew.
No. No, they're well made, well thought out. And just the one thing to remember when you first get them is the quarters overlap a bit. So when you're looking at, say it on a half, the same information is on this side as on this side of it, because there's a divide there. So it crosses. So this little bit, this little strip here is the same as that little strip here.
Yeah.
So just remember
double stuff. Yeah.
And you kind of look at how come there's two rows of those things and I don't see those on the moon.
Yeah.
And I know that Lauri knows this information, but I don't know whether other people know that Jill Sinkwich.
Yes.
Sinkwich. Jill Sinkwich, who is a member of the beginning astronomy group. She has her Explore the Moon button.
Yeah, she was the first one in this new group to do it.
Yeah, she's wearing it on her hat.
And she's got Explore the Universe as well. She's done them both. So yeah, and Pedro has now too, and and I have now.
We're 3.5 in the club now.
Yeah, so we're getting there.
Yeah.
And that's why it would be good if some more people, especially got that Explore the Universe pin, because that's a good program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm enjoying and I enjoyed the moon. And certainly the moon was good. And they're trying to get people doing the double stars now, so
that's good.
Anyways, anything else as we have gone into a whole bunch of different things that weren't originally on the agenda? I thought it might be a quick night tonight, but it ends up we've been here an hour and a half. So, anyways, good chatting. So, reminder: there's UVic on Wednesday, Star Party on Saturday. We'll be back on Monday. We will be taking a break the week after because it's BC Day, and so
maybe one thing I should just lay a hint on everyone that Astronomy Cafe will be probably back in person meetings starting in September, so we can look forward to that.
Yeah, we have been able to secure the same facility so far, so that's good. So back where we were. We'll just have to, we're just going to have to look at a few things there, and certainly Joe's right. The first night we have it will be the second Monday of September.
So Joe, do we know if we can broadcast as well from there?
Well, I think the first session is going to be a trial and error session, shall we say.
I've proposed a few of us be there and the rest of you be like this, and see if we can get it to work, and then more and more people can join us too. As I recall, they don't really have a capacity on that room, so we'll have to see how things go. But I mean, we don't know what September is going to bring, but I know other places like the university are planning to basically be operating as per pre-pandemic.
We do have a strong internet connection now in that room, so video broadcasting is possible, whereas it was impossible before. So if push comes to shove, I can wave my iPhone around and it'll work. With Zoom, I mean.
I would really appreciate it being streamed because I found it really difficult to go down to the all the way down to Oak Bay Fairfield on the Monday night.
Long journey.
Yeah, I've been so appreciative of being able to be for the last year and a half on Monday nights and be part of this, because I wasn't before, and I knew that I was missing out on some good stuff that was happening, and so I have really liked it.
keep it inclusive.
I
by-
think going forward, we're going to have to treat very seriously doing our meetings in a hybrid fashion
Yes.
going forward. I don't think in-person meetings, exclusively in-person meetings, are going to wash with the membership anymore. So
No.
And just on that note, we don't have an indication yet of when the university may be available. It is not at the moment to community groups.
You know, you've got 260 members. There's about 30 people who used to show up face to face in Fairfield, and there's about 25 or 30 show up online. So I'm always curious to what happened to the other 230 people.
Always wondered that.
Well, we've never had like the full membership at a place. I mean,
No.
that's pretty unheard of, actually.
all organizations are the same when it comes
Maybe
to
we, maybe we
hobby
should,
type groups.
maybe we should have a lottery. Provinces
A
are doing
lottery?
it.
Yeah.
If you come to the meeting, you can win a prize.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. To
Okay.
get people to come to the meeting. I thought you were
Oh.
thinking we would need to make some money. I don't think we need any money. We have
What, you
more
mean
money in the
about
bank than we
free-
know what we can spend right now.
You mean
You can give
cookies
out
up in
free face masks, all that.
Maybe we could serve beer or something. I don't know. Beer and wine.
coffee and cookies for me?
They
Aha.
they they do that in
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
They serve beer in Australia. At least in one of the places I went to.
That's
Would
an
be
astronomy group?
for sure.
It was actually, I think it was on the east coast. I can't remember the exact town, but they had a bunch of astronomy domes linked together, and then they had a pub at the pub and slots on the other side.
Yeah.
So in fact, that's how they funded the observatories, is with the pub and the slots.
Hey, so there we are. We'll get a casino built somewhere with that. Our meeting room. There we
Center
are.
of the universe would be ideal for that, I think.
There you go.
Oh, goodness.
Just imagine the
Yeah, well-
NRC's thoughts on that. Anyway.
Well, we don't have to. Astronomy Cafe doesn't have to meet in a community meeting room. We could meet in a pub or
Yeah.
someplace that's licensed. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what people want, I guess.
It's a thought.
Then
Change the
yeah.
complexion of things. Well, UVic has done that actually, and you shouldn't completely blow it away because UVic has
they
done
did.
that with their what do they call it? A science something or other.
Yeah, what is that called? Yeah, I know the one you mean. Cafe
And they
Scientifique.
met in pubs and talked science. Absolutely.
Cafe Scientifique, isn't it?
Cafe
And
Scientific.
Cafe
Nathan
Scientifique,
might be
that was it.
able to-
Yes.
Then Nathan might not be able to come.
Right. We'll have to go to a place that's licensed
the
Oh,
and allows
problem.
kids in.
Not quite as
Yeah, it doesn't, not so good for a.
But
Then
this
most of those
is
places need you to buy food, so that becomes a problem.
but this is the way that it can be broadcast to more people.
Yeah.
For sure. So
Yeah, well, I think that's certainly the plan for Astro Cafe, so we'll have to see what. And as I say, the monthly meetings, we don't have a resume schedule at all, so.
okay.
Actually, talking about getting together and food, weren't we thinking about a picnic
Oh, a
or something?
picnic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
picnic.
and time is running out. if we're gonna
Where's
do it this
Bill?
summer.
I'm right
Bill's
here.
there.
I did discuss it with Mark over email. He wants it to happen before the students are back because they will be locked into quarantine again.
Oh.
And I'm trying to remember when I'm away at Kobo, so it probably leaves about a week.
Oh, we'd have to do it really
That
soon.
won't happen this year.
Are we,
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember when Kobo is happening.
or we just have an impromptu picnic at the cricket pitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at Cattle Point,
Yeah, or cattle
at
point.
our urban star park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everybody just bring something for
Yeah.
sitting down and eating and
Yeah,
and then
we
get blown away by the wind down at
yeah,
down
we're
can look
chosen,
at, we can look at the moon.
or Machosen, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
pick
I went
Yeah.
golfing. I went golfing at Machosen a week ago when it was that windy day, and the golf balls were actually blowing on the greens.
Wow.
Like when the ball would land on the green, and then it would just keep going with the wind that would just blow it.
Was it helpful to you?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no.
Depending which way you were.
That's right. Oh, it was the windiest. I mean, it was totally reminded me of our star parties as being out there on the winds.
The perfect opportunity would be a late in the day picnic at Cattle Point, right for the middle of the Perseid meteor shower.
Oh yeah,
that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
bringing your loungers.
It says here that Mount Cobau is between the 7th and the 15th of August. So that still kind of gives us the second half of the month.
Which means I'll be back on the 16th.
Yeah,
I'll be coming back on the Sunday.
That would work.
So that probably gives the week after that.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is what?
The 20 is the 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd is a Sunday.
Is a Sunday.
The 21st or the 22nd?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Perseid Peak's there somewhere, isn't it?
I'll talk to Mark. Because then that'll be like about a quarter moon phase too.
Lauri, bring a telescope.
Oh, there's plenty of scopes there.
Yeah, I can work on that.
Bring your logbook.
Yeah, my logbook. Yeah, I'll just sit and do that. Okay. All right, everybody.
Very good. Well, thanks for everyone. It was a interesting, eclectic evening. So
yes, yeah.
We even went into overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see everybody next week and enjoy.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.